I had a little trip over to Sydney recently, where I had a roll of JCH StreetPan already loaded in my Leica. The afternoon I arrived, and the following day, however, was quite rainy. So for those first days, I mostly shot with my X100V digital camera. That weekend, I was to be over in Sydney to help run a portrait photography workshop with Photographers Anonymous Sydney. It was a full day and awesome experience where I also got to meet some great people. I only took a few shots throughout that day, as well as a couple of portraits on the JCH StreetPan while at the workshop, but I was able to get up early the next morning to some great weather and hit the streets to continue shooting. JCH StreetPan is a very contrasty film with fine grain, so I often enjoy leaning into its look by shooting in high contrast situations and lighting, and then exposing for the highlights sometimes as well. So that roll eventually ran out, and I met up with my friend Perry, who showed me some cool spots around Chinatown, where I loaded up some Fuji Superia Premium. Superia Premium 400 is probably my favorite high-speed film in 35mm. It's just too bad about its limited availability and continually rising price. It shines in all situations, including nature, where I managed to take some shots later that afternoon when I met up with a few of the guys from PA Sydney. Ever since first shooting this film stock in Japan years ago, I've loved the results I've gotten with it, both day and night, in all kinds of situations, general shooting, street photography. So join me back out on the streets the next morning as I continue the roll with some POV footage to let you see some of the street process.
Good morning, welcome to Sydney. Currently it's Monday morning, and Sydney's a very corporate city, so good time to get up and shoot some street. Got the Leica MA, which currently has some Fuji Superia Premium 400 in it. So I'm just winging it, trying to find the light, following the activity, seeing where it takes me.
Alright, so that was a fun little morning street photography session. Hopefully I got a few good ones there on the roll of Fuji Superia Premium. So now I'm actually going to be heading back to Newtown, which is where I was last night, so that I can meet up with Jess from Viva La Film, who was also helping with the workshop that I was doing here. We'll maybe shoot a bit together, have a coffee, maybe do a little bit of a chat with Jess and see what she's up to. So I'll catch you all again there. So at this point in the video, I actually filmed an interview with Jess over at her place where she spoke about her journey into the film camera repairs world and showed me some of the tools and the process. It was a great and fascinating conversation, and I recommend checking it out sometime if you haven't yet. I uploaded it to the channel back around the 10th of April, so I'll put a link to that in case you want to check it out later or add it to your watch list. So following this, the day continued, and I headed back towards the city where I grabbed a few shots along the way. back in the city now for the last afternoon golden hour I have here before heading back tomorrow. Got a few shots left. And this has been one of the only couple of times since getting here that there's been clear skies, or relatively clear skies, in the city during a late afternoon session. So I'm really looking forward to it and just having a good time shooting the streets of Sydney, burning some film, hopefully get something good. So learning the way the light behaves in whichever given city is one of the most valuable things if you shoot street photography often. And you can see that soon the light from behind these buildings will start to peek out and it'll hit this pub behind me and some of the surrounding areas. So it really depends on the time of the year, because in summer it might be a whole different side of the city. And I know that through my experience in Melbourne, that you really need to get to know the angles of the sun at the different times of the year, which blocks will be being served by the light, and planning your photo walks accordingly. Alright, so I just had a chat with him for a few minutes. Really nice guy. The dog's name is Tanner. And I've switched to JCH StreetPan now, which I'm going to rate at 250. This shot here was the last one I took for that day. And then I got up again the next morning for one last session of street photography before I had to head to the airport to make the flight back to Melbourne. So if I haven't already mentioned it in this vlog, this is one of the things I really love about the light in Sydney, is how it reflects off a lot of these glass buildings and creates interesting little pockets of light and shapes, whether it's against other buildings or down onto the street. And this morning is no exception to that. It's really nice. Alright everyone, so that's the video. I hope you enjoyed coming along for some of those photo walks and seeing some of my process on the street. And I'd like to thank everyone over in Sydney who I was able to meet up with and was involved with the workshop there, especially everyone at PA Sydney. Definitely check them out if you're based in Sydney. They're a great group and I'll put their information in the video description. And if you're interested in some of the digital shots I took on the Fujifilm X100V, I've actually started a second channel, which is more of a personal channel. It's somewhere where I'll be posting anything and everything that isn't necessarily related to film photography, including some digital photography stuff. So check that out over there if you're interested. It was where I shot with that camera for the first couple of days during the rain. It's great to be able to travel again. It had been years since I'd been to Sydney, and now that the world's opening up, it feels really exciting to be able to do stuff like this. Sarah and I actually have an upcoming overseas trip next month, so I'm really excited for that. And there'll actually be a lot of content, hopefully, both related to film photography through that trip and also not necessarily photography related, which I'll be putting up on the personal channel. And if you'd like to support me and my work, I actually still have copies of my first zine, the Sun-Dried Strip, which is a street photography zine, all shot on film. And I'll actually be running a limited discount of 20% on this zine for a couple of weeks before my trip, which means you can get it as cheap as it was during the pre-order phase. And I'll also be running discounted shipping to Australia and overseas, so this is a great time to grab a copy if you haven't yet. You can also support by checking out my Buy Me a Coffee page or joining there for some future exclusive content. You can join the Pushing Film community over on the Discord server. So I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one.